do this, Gemini. This is your weekly tarot card reading from Born Without Boundaries. And yes, it is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's dive right in. When I start with the Sensual Tarot, I can't share the photos with you, the images, but I can definitely share with you the meaning. You have the Ten of Wands. You're taking a lot of burdens on yourself, especially if it has to do with a relationship that you're in. So a lot of personal responsibility, maybe too much. You may even be enjoying it. Because it kind of looks like it in the card. Hey! But then we have the Four of Wands, and that is about pleasure, and that is about joy. So this that could be referring to taking on some extra workload in order to improve your life, or taking on some extra responsibility, extra burdens to improve a circumstance or a situation or a relationship that you're trying to develop with somebody. It could be building a new home. It could be, shopping for a new home. It could just be taking on extra work so that you can level up. But it's definitely something that you are extremely passionate about, and I don't see it being something that's taking away from you. I actually see it as being something that is giving you a great deal of pleasure. This is a real sensual, sexual energy, so at the very least you're thinking about somebody or desiring something with them. If it has nothing to do with sex or sensuality, it could also be, Gemini, just like I said, preparation for something you're extremely passionate about. Leveling up. Let's see what's in the past. What's in the past is the Wheel. So karma switched, karma changed. So why is karma coming up in relationship to what you're doing now? There could have been an awakening, some sort of reckoning or understanding, an inspiration to level up. Okay, this is also luck. The High Priestess is here speaking of balancing out your soul with your soul space, connecting once again with spirituality. But the High Priestess also speaks to me of cosmic balance, a sort of tempering of the cosmic condition, especially where you're concerned. Nice. And then we have the Hierophant, so some sort of balancing out. So this is some sort of compromise that you're making between traditional values and where you stand and what you want out of life. This could also be a sense, the High Priestess and the Hierophant, interestingly enough, are kind of divine counterparts. The Hierophant is all about religion and tradition, and the High Priestess is all about spirituality, connection to the cosmos, and intuition, and sort of like the esoteric or the ethereal. So the two of them coming out together means this is a very spiritual, almost holy time for you, where you're just experiencing yourself to your highest capacity. And there's lots of opportunities here for joy and happiness. This is a good place to start, Gemini. And because the Wheel is here on the table, there's definitely a sense of like good karma, having earned this, good karma coming around, or just the Wheel itself. And when I look at the Wheel, I also think of the Zodiac Wheel, of course, has come into place. Something has definitely clicked into place where there is maybe a confrontation of traditional and spiritual values, but they're confronting each other as equals. One isn't going to be subservient to the other. If this is two very dynamic people or a very kind of opposite person that you're dealing with right now, there is a sense of being excited by the confrontation, not feeling aggressed upon. And if you are being aggressed upon, there is a sense of liking it. There's a deep-rooted sense of togetherness here and sensuality here. Okay? Welcome to your reading, Gemini. All right. Gemini. Moving on. And this comes in the future. So this could be some hot summer lovin'. This could also be a sense of balancing out your energies so that you can move on. What did I say though? It was about leveling up, moving on. And he's holding a stopwatch or a pocket watch in his hand. So this is all about, it's time to move on. It's time to move on from what? Or it will be in the future, because that's coming out in the future. Gemini, 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 Gemini. There we go. There we go. Hope. Holding on to hope. So right now, currently, there's still something that you're hoping for here. You're still holding on to hope. And then we have the waiting game. Oh boy. And listen, we move on when we're ready. And so Gemini, you can't move on until you're ready. There's something that you're still hoping works out. You're still having patience with it. Maybe there is a great sense of pleasure that's involved. So that's keeping you attached to somebody. This is no judgment at all. This is just a statement of, we stay in certain situations for specific reasons. And ultimately, they have to play themselves out. And something here isn't done yet, because you're still holding on to a hope that something ends up working out and it gets better. There should be a great deal of pleasure and joy in this, but there is a sense of feeling burdened, feeling like you don't really want to do it, but you have to do it in some ways. Not that you're being forced to do it, but it still feels like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. Like I said, taking a lot of extra responsibility onto your shoulders to continue to keep something up. A happy home, a happy relationship, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's bound to break. What it means is that it is a balancing act, that for some reason you know that you have to continue. Hope and the waiting game, those speak for themselves. So I'm going to move on to these cards over here. Throat chakra, which is something is going to come out. A statement has to be made. You have to speak. And the throat chakra, is right above the heart chakra. Speak from your heart, right? Speak from your heart with the power that comes up from your gut. You need to speak up. You need to say something. And then we have the crown chakra. And this is the illumination of the high priestess, something that you now know, something that intuitively may not be what other people understand or see, but you still have to, it's like you have to speak your mind, let's put it that way. And then power, to get your power back. Gemini, you have to speak your mind to get your power back. I don't know how many of you needed to hear that. I hope every single one of you needed to hear that. Let me say it again. You need to speak your mind to get your power back. Right now, you're holding on to hope, and that means that in some ways, maybe you're taking on too many responsibilities in your own right. You're putting too many pressures on yourself so that you don't have to say something, so that things stay very, I was going to say playful, but no, very peaceful. It's like you're trying to keep the peace by not speaking up or saying something. But the truth is, you can't hold on to this, because it's you diminishing your power by doing it. It's such a powerful stance to be able to speak your mind. A powerful position to be able to speak your mind so that you can move to the next step. Moving on, this could be deciding to leave, deciding to walk on and move to a different scenario, a situation in your life. It could also just mean leveling up in whatever the situation is, whether it's a relationship or your job. There is something that you have to get off of your chest. You understand something, you know something, you have to speak your mind. I think this has taken longer than you thought it would. Whatever this project is that you're working on or considering, it took longer than you thought it would. Maybe, but you're driven by sheer passion here. There's a lot of passion on the table. You're driven by sheer passion. Gemini. Gemini. Take a leap of faith. This is coming out in the future, way in the future. You're investing in something. investing in something that you feel is going to make things better. What is Gemini investing in? Gemini. This came out in the past. Balance spirituality and practicality. Isn't that funny? Because we have the High Priestess and the Hierophant here. You see something extremely imbalanced and unfair in a situation in order to just keep the peace. And for you, it's just not good enough anymore. You need to speak up and say something about it. You need to speak your mind. You have waited. You have held out hope that this will work itself out. Let people play. Let people have fun with this. But ultimately, is it too much? Is it too much of a burden and too much of a strain for a specific person over somebody else? And I feel like this fire in your belly continues to build to the point where you're going to speak your mind and say something, or this is about sharing your ideas. This is a fantastic time for you to share your ideas because Mercury is combust the sun, which means that it's literally in service to the sun, in service to truth and passion and romance and who you are. This is a kind of supercharged time when you will be able to be extremely articulate about what you think, what you know, what you've discovered, especially concerning who you are. And not being pigeonholed anymore in any capacity. I want to know a little bit more about what you're moving on to. What's this? I got to use the cards that I'm called to. What is Gemini moving on to? Moving on to. What does Gemini want to move on to? There's a third card that should have come out. That was too much. But there's 3 cards here. Wings of light, which means that you are protected and divinely guided. Sea of love, which means you're having trouble trusting and letting go of the past, but there is a beautiful future that wants to come in. And abundance from within is seeing. So how you feel about yourself has been seriously pulled into question. What's been happening around you has thrown you into some sense of self-doubt. But there is this sense of now feeling loved and feeling, even if you're not completely ready to accept it, feeling love starting to come into you. The issue, the struggle is still, am I willing to believe it? Am I willing to leave myself vulnerable? And the answer to that question is no, you're not, because you're not going to feel strong enough to be vulnerable until you speak up for yourself and are heard, and you don't feel like you have been heard. And now is the time to gear up to sort of the prep period of getting in line what you want to say. You will know what you want to say now. It is going to be so clear to you what you really believe in and what really matters to you. And this is in preparation for actually opening up and sharing. In fact, in some ways, this is your test. It's like you're testing the world. It's like, oh, you say you've changed, or maybe not the world, but somebody. You're testing them. You're putting them to the test, Gemini, because you're like, oh, you say you're ready. Oh, you say you've changed. Well, I'm putting together my fucking dissertation. I'm putting together my argument. And when I lay it on you, let's see how far you've come. Have you kept up with me? And then you have resolution and inner conflict. Resolution of an inner conflict. It's like so simple. It's sort of blatant. Inner conflict is about piecemealing yourself, deciding that there are only parts of you that are acceptable to the world and the other parts of you you've got to hide. Bullshit. Resolving that feeling inside of you that you have to piecemeal yourself in order to be accepted, and some sort of struggle. Now, what have you been struggling with? Is this fair? Is this right? Am I doing something that's bad for people? Am I wrong? What have I done? It's like, I'm just saying that the other side has been so brutal that it seems like in some ways you've even allowed them to make you doubt yourself. There is a conflict here. There's that you're resolving. And you're resolving it through strength. And I'm telling you, look at this. This is that Leo energy. You finding yourself with the power from the sun, and Saturn is definitely in opposition to the sun combust Mercury, which is that traditional value system of can do, cannot do, and it's in Aquarius, and there's some sort of opposition there about what you know and what you've discovered and who you want to be versus the fucking crowd. And it's almost like at this point you're just like, I'm not the one who has to change, you're the one who has to change, because I'm tired of having to make these concessions that don't feel real to me and put me in a situation where I don't feel powerful anymore because I got to be what I'm not in order to fit in. I don't want to be what I'm not. I don't want to fit in if that's what it means I got to be. So there is just that sense of maybe loneliness and isolation because you speak your mind. Maybe you've held yourself back or tried to compromise too much in order to maintain positive relationships, and that has become a tremendous burden for you as well. What is it that you need to say, Gemini? It's gonna come out. I have a feeling like it's gonna come out whether you want it to come out or not. Just saying. What does this moon card need to say to me? Bring love into the situation. This is Aquarius energy. That's really interesting. And this is in the future. So this is interesting. It's almost like me versus them, but then there's also this undertone of love. And your romance specific reading is in the extended. But bring love into the situation. A new moon in Aquarius. We just had a full moon in Aquarius. This was a time of tremendous abundance. And if you got a rush of personal strength, you got a rush of feeling yourself like you haven't in a while, that was it. That was the full moon in Aquarius, really giving you that supportive energy to feel better about yourself and be more certain and secure and follow your ideas and trust your convictions. This is about caring. This is about daring to care about a situation or circumstance again that you may have distanced yourself from because of pain, because of suffering, and maybe because of rejection. Bless you. Gemini. We have flexible. Be flexible. Message in a bottle. Something has been pent up. Okay, let me say this. You may be dealing with somebody who has, this may not be you at all, but this is a super prevalent energy in your space right now. Somebody has been pent up. It may not be you. It very well may be the person that you're dealing with. And the truth is, especially if you're dealing with a water sign, they have bottled up their emotions. They have felt this way for a very long time. And they might have, in a very passive-aggressive way that water signs behave, let things slip from time to time. But I can tell you the time bomb is about to explode or burst on whoever it is that has been repressing what they feel or want to say. Because this is that message, that message in a bottle. They have been, or you have been, somebody has been extremely flexible, maybe too flexible for their own good. And they decided to put away what they wanted to say instead of share what they want to say. Right? And it's been really great, and it's been really fun, and holy shit, it may have even been really sexy, because flexibility can be extremely sexy, right? And that could be almost pent up sensuality of some sort. It's not like this person isn't ready to compromise. It's not even like you aren't ready to compromise. I have this feeling that somebody has been compromising too much, and that there is bitterness building up underneath the surface. almost like a sense of martyrdom, like I'm doing this for the greater good, when in reality, maybe you don't even know what they've been sacrificing or what in their head they thought they've been sacrificing. So this might sound crazy to you, but there could be a surprise walkout, a surprise leave. It's time for me to move on because I've asked you to change these things and you haven't changed these things, but they hadn't asked you to change these things and the conversation never came out. Or maybe certain things had been ignored. Like, that's the energy. It's like things have been ignored and they have been discussed. And you have tried to be flexible and you have tried to be malleable and compromise. It's just not going to hold suit much anymore. Right now, in the present, this is still where you are, trying to be flexible, but it's coming out the way that you feel. I'm digging into this with tarot. I hope you will continue the story with me. The link to the extended is just below. I'll see you guys over there.